Alright, welcome to the next session of our Mandelbulb 3D Tutorial Series. What I'm doing now is taking a closer look at our subframes that have been rendered out at their full 1920 by 1080. This is for purposes of review only. So I have it loaded up here in DJV. Now, there's a couple things I don't like about this, but I think they're fixable. And I think you're going to find that you're just not going to be able to get a perfect animation using Mandelbulb 3D alone. Now, obviously, it's getting you some really good graphics. It's getting you some good animation. But look, I mean, let's be realistic here. Your animation tools is very, very limited. Is very limited. I mean, what? I mean, I can navigate. I can navigate, and I can make a keyframe. Fixing keyframes is not all that easy. All right, I have to keep documentation in order to understand where I'm at. I mean, maybe another reality, maybe I could actually keep the documentation associated with the keyframes itself, but I can't do that. So look, I'm not surprised that this is not perfect. This is what we're here to do. We're here to use a tool and do the best we can with the tool. Fortunately, there are other tools that can help us kind of improve the overall and final presentation. Well, let's take a look at this. So let me play it again all the way through. Now it's going to get a little jittery because it's going to run out of local RAM, but that's okay. It's just a review anyway. See what we got. All right, now this is our move forward, and we're going to move forward. We're looking down a bit. Then we're gonna go into the right-hand banking turn. All right, so there's the next animation sequence. All right, that's good. There's our right-hand banking turn. Pretty decent, no collisions, that's good. Now we're gonna go into the fast flight forward. Zoom, okay, now that started off too fast. The speed is different than the first animation sequence. All right, so there's our long forward. Now we're going to go into a roll right about here. Okay, so there's my roll. We're doing a 360 roll. The roll is too slow. All right. We also have a lot of our background is getting lost. Not too bad though. There's a lot of foreground. All right, and there's our color band rippling through now. Okay, so that was the extent of my animation. All right, now a couple things I don't like, which I think I can fix. Let's stop this now. I didn't like how I suddenly sped up right here. So, like I had talked about in a previous session, I can go into my video editor and I can slow this long flight segment down. I'm not too worried about that. I am a little concerned about at the end of the flight. All right, at the end of the flight, the straight flight. There, I stop and I start rotating. I probably can fix that in the video editor too. Now I can't fix, let me stop it here. I can't fix in my video editor this lost detail here. Now I come up on a decision, what do I do about that? I may not do anything about it. But one thing is for certain is that my dynamic fog may be too intense. There's the far plane issue. We've talked about that. All right. And but we know that the Mandelbulb 3D internal software has its limits. It has its limits. So I may not actually be able to get all of the detail displayed here, but I could probably help this with a dynamic fog reduction in the density of the fog. All right, let's continue here. The roll is a little slow. I could speed that up though in the video editor. Now here, I'm not happy with the way this blue is rippling down. Let's just let's back up a bit here. There we go. You know, so here's the blue. You see the blue kind of rippling along there. Whoa, I mean, hey, you know what? Maybe that's the effect you want. I am happy with there's no collisions on the fractal. I'm happy with that. Although I see here that towards the end of the animation as we have it so far, I mean, look at that. Look at that. I mean, look at that. That's very interesting. I got no clipping up in here. And, okay, this is where it straightens out. So I flew through this entire environment without clipping. Wow, that's pretty good. All right. That's pretty good. Now, hey, come on, I'm just lucky. I'm just lucky. I had an idea what I was doing, but when I got this close like this, I didn't know if it was going to clip or not. But this is what we find out. So here's what we got here. This animation is interesting. There's some speed issues that need to be resolved. All right, this long forward here, I think I need to slow that down. The rotate, I think I need to speed that up because that slow rotate like that. Now look, I can go back in because I have my documentation. All right, this was the roll right here, and I could modify the roll clockwise, and I might say something like I might change this value to maybe 3. All right, and that would tend to speed up the roll. I could do it that way. I can also do it in my video editor. If I do it here, I need to obviously render everything out, which is okay because I did not intend for this full resolution rendering to be anything other than review. All right, so I could do it. I could do it here. I could speed up my roll by increasing the step count, or I could do it in my video editor. Now, I really don't like this blue rippling down through the scene. Now, I can handle that because in a previous session, and I'll put that session number up on the screen, we did talk about your ability to apply coloring to all of the keyframes. And you know what? I think, the blue coloring is very interesting right here, all right? But it has a tendency, as we can kind of see here, to kind of walk along on the z-axis. And I'm not sure if I like that. I mean, I like it here, but I don't like it there, okay? So what I may do here is I may simply lighten the blue color, just lighten it, so that it's not as obvious as it goes through the scene. All right, let's play this thing again. Now I am playing at 60 frames per second, as you can see down here. So I am taking 30 frames per second native and playing it back at a higher speed. Okay. When you get it into your video editor, all right, that 30 frames per second, this is what you're going to have. All right. And so as I spoke of in a previous session, I'll put that number up on the screen as well. Ultimately, I'm going to double all of the subframe values all in here so that I'm running at equivalent of 60 frames per second, which is going to give me a smoother I'll avoid any chances of jitter. All right, so that's just a little point right there. Let's play it one more time and then we'll end this session. Get to the beginning. Come on. All right. Yeah, okay, here we go. All right. Okay, I'll see you in the next session.